Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Journey to 10K, the podcast and series which looks to delve into the mind of one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I don't just say that, I do mean it. Look it up. FPL Corbs, Mr. Matt Corbridge, my co-host, is one of the best to ever play the game. Formerly ranked #1 in the world, and in the 8 seasons he's played the game, he's never finished outside the top 25K and has 6 top 10K finishes. Can't do any better than that. If you find somebody, send me them. I'm not replacing Matt. It'd just be good to see. You'll probably notice Matt isn't actually with me today. So unfortunately, he's had to be called into something at work a bit later on. Some of the slides I put together probably should involve Matt, so we might skip a few of them. But I've worked hard. Don't turn over or skip. I've worked hard to put together the stats, the fixtures, the form, all of that sort of stuff to help you make an informed choice ahead of blank game week 26. Matt will be back with us next game week, we hope, unless work have something to do with that. But yeah, should hopefully be with us. But we'll start off, as we always do, reviewing our teams. Matt has given me some overview on his own performance as well, so I will be sharing some of his thoughts, both on how the game week went last week, game week in 25, and also his thoughts with his team ahead of 26. But as we're touching on Matt, we may as well start there. So Matt played his triple captain on Haaland, like a lot of the game did. Got 93 points. He did take a -8 in terms of hits, so a net score of 85. Game record 914. It was a green arrow coming from 321k overall to 300k, pretty much on the nose. Total points of 1515. Um, Things that Matt wants to call out with the team is really injuries that he can't control and luck that he can't control as well. So you'll see in his team, for example, Darwin Nunes. A lot of us went there. He got an assist in. He got a goal in the first half against Brentford, but then subbed at half time and missed the second game in its entirety. So a double game week for Darwin turned into one half for Darwin Nunes. One of the players that Matt actually bought in was Kevin De Bruyne. As part of his -8, he decided to bring in De Bruyne for Palmer, which meant he benched Gordon. Now, Gordon scored a penalty, got 8 points. De Bruyne, on the other hand, played the first game, the 1-1 with Chelsea, didn't play at all, didn't come on to the pitch in the 1-0 win against Brentford. So he only got 2 points. So yeah, Matt felt that that transfer backfired. But again, at the time he made it, sensible decision. The luck element he was talking about, it's not every week that Kyle Walker should probably be sent off, doesn't get sent off, gets an assist, and then brings in 2 bonus points on the back of that. Van Dijk doesn't score every week. Again, it was an option for him. Do you go Bradley or Van Dijk? And he's obviously brought in Kelleher. So that the lack of clean sheets for Liverpool, but Van Dijk hitting double digits. Robertson for me, getting 6 points, despite the fact Liverpool didn't keep a clean sheet and he only played or started one game. So there's a bit of a luck variation that Matt is touching on, which is frustrating him. But again, things out of his control, and he feels like he's chasing the last 4 game weeks. Um, I'll just load up his text so I can read it, kind of how he's put it, rather than do him any form of disservice. But he's just saying he's gone against his usual passive approach, avoiding hits and rolling over the last 4 game weeks, and he thinks it's probably cost him a total of around 50 points. So he'll, things like bench and Foden when he got his 20 points would have come as part of that. Um, and he's just mentioned that he couldn't predict what would have happened with KDB. He was swayed by the prediction models, saying that KDB was probably going to get a double-digit return. Obviously, that didn't happen based on the injury. But yeah, unlucky, but still a green arrow. So he's always said, if it's a green arrow, happy days. So it's still on the rise. To gloat, I had some of the luck going in my favour this game week, so I've ended up in Centurion Club, 104 for me. I didn't make any transfers. I wanted to roll it to try and help me plan for game week 29. I don't think it's going to work out, and I'll touch on that later when I reveal my team. But I decided to roll it for that reason. So yeah, 104 net, 138k for the game week rank, which was a good green arrow. Went from 164k to 89,000 overall, breaking into the top 100k. And hopefully on my way to the whole point of this was FPL journey to 10k, trying to get a top 10k finish. Still 13 weeks left. I'll have to get pretty lucky. But if I can push and get into that top 50, and my best ever finish is around the 43k mark. So if I can beat that this season, happy days. But yeah, so Dubravka in net 2 points. I conceded twice, so got a save point. Gabriel with his clean sheet. Robertson got 2 points against Luton, and 2 points against Brentford, should I say? And then he came off the bench against Luton and got an assist, so got 4 points there, so six total. Walker got an assist, some bonus points, and then also in the second game a clean sheet. Quite happy with that. Just touching on Dubravka, whilst I think gone, I did consider getting Kelleher in, and Kelleher would have given me plus 3 points, but I just wanted to carry on that second transfer. I think going into this game week, especially with it being a blank, and then what might happen in game week 29, we don't know who's going to blank, but there's definitely going to be some. Just having that extra transfer helped. That's the reason I kind of went against doing that. Um, but yeah, 3 points isn't going to make or break my week. Going into the midfield, sticking sorry with the defense, I got lucky with Walker. Mentioned he got an assist there. His expected assist data for that game week was 0.05. Robertson's assist came off the bench. His expected assist data was 0.00. So pretty much Luis Diaz did all the work for that goal. So yeah, got lucky there. But then I feel like I got unlucky in some places as well. Looking at somebody like Haaland, a lot of people had him on triple captain. He got one goal. His expected goal involvement was 2.8, so he could have easily got another goal and assist on top of what he did, which with triple captain would have given me an extra 20 plus points. Obviously, didn't happen. Felt it potentially could have. Gross got me 8 with an assist. I feel like he was unlucky to not get more in that game. He had an expected assist data of 0.79, expected goals of 0.9. So he could have easily got a goal and an assist. Again, that would have been from midfield another 5 points. No doubt he'd have then jumped to 3 on the bonus rather than 2. So I feel like he could have quite easily got a double digit. And then I've got Darwin as well, the same as Matt, and feel hard done by. He scored in the first half of a double game week, and that was the only half he played. But yeah, we both had Saka, we both had Watkins, big scorers in the game week. So yeah, generally green arrow, good one for me. Not so good for Matt, but still a green arrow. Somebody might look at my bench and think, well, is it not unfortunate that I had Saliba on there? Well, it is. It is unfortunate, but I was never going to play him. Robertson's got a double game week. Walker's got a double game week, so it was him or Gabriel, and I feel like Gabriel's got the better aerial threat from set pieces. The rest of the 7 up front, I was never really going to drop. I prefer to attack games. I was never going to bench one of the other 7. So, excuse me. So yeah, that was never going to be an option for me. So yeah, that was game week 25. Just looking at the talking points and what's happened in the game week, quite a bit has happened. So double game week players, a lot of us got in. Unfortunately, most of them didn't really deliver. So I've named some there. Foden got 5, KDB got 2. I think Ake only got 2. Jota, very unfortunate for those that owned him. He got 4. Again, injured in sub 40 minutes over a double game week. Was looking really solid, but he got 4. Nunes again went off at half time. He ended up with 5. Conor Bradley played both, but only got 4 as Liverpool conceded. So the big players people were getting in just didn't deliver. So it ended up being a bit of a frustrating double game week for a lot. But Arsenal did continue to dazzle if you're looking at bringing in some Arsenal players. So over the last 2 game weeks, just to give you some numbers when they've got these high scoring, and I appreciate it's a small sample. It's only 2 game weeks. Do go back and have a look. But Saka 4 goals, expected goal involvement 3.29. So he is slightly ahead, but pretty much on where he should be. Now 3.29 for the Arsenal attack is way ahead of everybody else. Second's Odegaard. Now, Odegaard has had 4 returns as well, 1 goal, 3 assists. His expected goal data is 1.11, so it's not been anywhere near the 3.29 as Saka. Trossard is then next. 2 goals and 1 assist for him. Expected goal data of 1.00. So again, he's pretty overperforming. And then this might surprise some people. Gabriel's expected goal involvement 0.67, of which he does have 1, is higher than Martinelli's over the last 2 game weeks. Martinelli's is only 0.55, and he's had 0 returns. Point I'm making there is most of the Arsenal players are overperforming in terms of the attack and returns, really focusing on Odegaard and Trossard there, whereas Saka is way ahead on the expected goal data, clearly the man in form, and he's delivering against it. So if you haven't got Saka and you're looking at an Arsenal player, he's the one to go for, no question about it. Um, Hodgland, the person whose name I usually mispronounce, scored for the 6th game in a row. He's scored 9 times in those 6 game weeks, which is incredible. Who'd have saw that at the beginning of the season? But I do want to put a caveat on it. His expected goal involvement data is only 3.22, so he has returned nearly 3 times the amount of returns. Sorry, I said 9 goals in 6, didn't I? It's 9 returns in those 6, but he's returned nearly 3 times what the data suggests he should have done. Um, Now, I don't see him just turning into a world-class finisher over the last 6 game weeks, so I think that's something that you should take into account. Look at the fixtures that United have got, but the rapid rate in which he's producing these points, I'd imagine will eventually slow. But he's looking good. He is looking good. Sheffield United, just wondering if they're turning back into some whipping boys. They seem to have conceded a lot of goals recently. They've actually conceded 2+ goals in their last 7 games. So this season, expected goals conceded of 2.02 per 90 minutes. And over the last 6 game weeks, it's 2.14. And they're actually worse at home. So being in front of their own fans, the expected goal conceded data is actually slightly higher. Now, I'll bring that up because there's a couple of players I'm going to talk about when we look at midfield options and probably focus on the potentially the Jota replacements. You know, Palmer's not going to play this game week. Salah's not playing this game week. Richarlison and Madison and basically a lot of our midfielders won't be seeing the pitch. There's a couple of options that are playing Sheffield United this game week who might be worth consideration, but I'll touch more on that a little bit later on. Um, and then, yeah, I want to touch on City. So very frustrating double game week for the triple City player holders, especially if you're 3 players with the 3 attackers. They only scored twice, 1 per game, but their expected goal date was 5.32. So yes, they were being wasteful, but they are still producing chances. So I wouldn't rush to sell any of them. Is the point there? But yeah, moving on to the fixture ticker. As we always do, just have a little look at who has the good upcoming fixtures. Despite playing Man City next, but Bournemouth are top of the defensive one. It's that double game week. You know, at home to Sheffield United, at home to Luton. You can't really get better fixtures than that. You know, 2 teams, or one right at the bottom of the league, the other one fighting to stay up and out of the relegation zone. So that's going to have a big swing. But then they've also got Burnley, who are second to bottom. They've got Everton, who are fighting to stay out of relegation. Crystal Palace are down there. So they've got some really nice upcoming fixtures. No doubt we will all be targeting people like Solanke, potentially a Neto ahead of game week 28. Wolves are also on there, second on the list. They're the ones that have Sheffield United next. Spoilers when I talk about Neto and Hwang a little bit later on. Although their 27 isn't great, away at Newcastle, they then follow up with Fulham at home. So again, a good fixture for Wolves. I don't want to comment on game week 29 too much. Despite Wolves having Bournemouth home again, not a bad fixture because who knows if that will go ahead when with the FA Cup involvement. Um, Man United are up there as well. Arsenal, Newcastle. The Arsenal one's worth having a note of. I think a lot of people might be looking to sell, dare I say, sell a Saka to bring back a Mo Salah if he is deemed as fit. I think a lot of people have already sold him for Jota for this game week, which obviously didn't work out. But if you're looking to sell Saka, just remember what I noted on the last screen. His form is phenomenal, and Arsenal are fourth. I appreciate there's a defensive one. Moving to the attacker one, Arsenal actually third on the fixture ticker. So Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, Potentially Chelsea at home, depending on how the FA Cup goes. And then City, a very difficult one. City away can't be really any harder than that. But then Luton at home. So over those next 6 game weeks, to sell at somebody that's in such form as Saka just seems crazy. So potentially wouldn't look to do that. But one that might surprise people, Palace. Crystal Palace are second in terms of the attacking fixtures. Burnley at home, Luton at home to come up as well. Forest away and Bournemouth away. So again, nice fixtures. Whether you trust Palace will wait to be seen. Obviously, Hodgson has recently left. He might get that new manager bounce. Um, but yeah, so potentially wait and see what happens under their manager. But players that or teams that might be worth noting for you here. So West Ham, Villa, Fulham, all three are guaranteed to be playing in game week 29. They all have fixtures in game week 26 as well. So if you're looking at potentially getting around 29 without using any of your chips, they're probably the teams you want to start looking at. West Ham, fifth on the fixture ticker from an attacking point of view. Brentford at home coming up, Burnley at home coming up. Got Everton who are beginning to struggle. Villa at home in 29, which is a guaranteed fixture. So not bad over the next four. Villa similar, Forest at home, Luton away, Tottenham at home, and then guaranteed to play West Ham. And then, as I say, Fulham, not as nicer fixtures, but they are guaranteed to play in 29 as well. And that game is at home to Tottenham. But around that, they've got Sheffield United, they've got Nottingham Forest, they've got Brighton, who I think have only kept 2 clean sheets all season, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got the opportunities to score. Um, yeah, probably spent a bit longer on that than I intended to, but hopefully give you a bit of an insight on players to consider. Next, I kind of want to look a little bit at the non-blank players to target. So I've just noted a couple of teams there that play. Oh, that the logo is right in the way, isn't it? Let me remove that. But yeah, I noted some teams that play in the game week 29 as a guarantee. Not many of them, but I've put some up here. So you've got Villa, Brentford, West Ham, and Fulham. Um, well, that's it. They're at least the players in the top 10 in terms of form that are playing in those game weeks. Now, Watkins is head and shoulders. Well, both Villa players are, to be fair. Douglas Luiz is up there. Probably wouldn't expect him to be that high in terms of in those teams. He is the second highest in terms of expected FPL points over the last 6 game weeks. And they're ahead of people like Flecken, who's played 7 times in that time. But Watkins is streets ahead. Now, I appreciate some people might have Nunes who's injured, and they might have sold Watkins previously to make that move. They might still be holding on to Solanke and Haaland. I think Watkins is the obvious. If you're selling Darwin Nunes and you don't have Watkins, he seems the obvious pick. This game week, he's got Forest again, a team that do concede goals. He's playing for Villa, who are scoring a lot of goals. He's on the back of a brace. And if you look at the expected points between game weeks 26 and 29 for the teams guaranteed to play in both game weeks, he is again head and shoulders above with 20.9 expected points. He's a really decent captaincy option for this game week as well, playing against Forest, and I'll come on to that when I speak a little bit more on the captaincy picks for this game week. But again, if you're in the market for a striker, one that you want to guarantee, and even you know what, even I'd even consider Watkins if you're going to play a chip in 29. He is again on form, um, but it just gets you a player that is guaranteed to play that game week as well. Tony's on there. Another striker, if you're looking to move on a Darwin Nunes or somebody along those sort of lines, same minutes as Watkins, slightly ahead actually on expected goals. Scored the same amounts, but slightly ahead. But he's not. He's nowhere near on the assists. Watkins is 5 times higher on the expected assist data, which is why he's so far ahead on the expected FPL points. Now I should know Watkins is overperforming. But he is still, as I say, top on the expected points. Tony's on 31.11, got 33 points, so he's staying where the expected data says he should be. And over those fixtures, a ticker, he's got 17.4. Now, Brentford have terrible fixtures in this run. The players that on this list that also have really good teams on the ticker. You're looking at Aston Villa, who are in 6th on the ticker, and you've got John McGinn, who's in a bit of form, Watkins and Louise 1 and 2 with regards to these teams in form. West Ham are also on the ticker in 5th place. James Ward-Prowse over the last 6 games, again within those teams that are playing game week 29, is the 4th highest in terms of expected FPL points. Again, performing in line with it. He's had 2 goals in that time. Probably been unlucky not to add an assist into that as well. Expected points of 15 over the next like game week 26 to 29 period. And then Fulham are actually 8th on that list. You've got Muniz and De Cordova. Should I get that out? De Cordova Reed on the list as well. De Cordova Reed surprised me that he's that high up. And Muniz, to be honest with you, but Muniz has scored 4 goals in the last 6 game weeks. He's only 4.4 million. So if you're looking to save some money, potentially an option. Do bear in mind, obviously he might not start every game. Probably there because of injuries to certain players. So bear that in mind. But if you think he's going to play for the next couple of game weeks and you want to free up some cash to maybe move into a Salah or somebody along those sort of lines, might be worth having a look at him. But yeah, that's the potential moves for non-blanks. Watkins number 1. Louis probably number 2 if you need a midfielder. Flecken's not a bad pick either. But again, they've not got the best fixtures. But I think he pulled out 5. Did he pull out 5 points against Man City, despite the fact he conceded due to save points and a bonus? Might have been 4, but he's more than capable of building points. Is the point? Despite the fact he plays for a team that concede goals. Replacements for Jota. I think a lot of people bought Jota in for that game week. It doesn't have to be Jota specifically. It can be replacements for anybody that you're thinking of selling if they are blanking. I mentioned before, a lot of us have Palmer. A lot of us have maybe somebody like Richarlison, Madison, whoever it may be, that are blanking. We might need some midfielders for this game week. So similar sort of thought process. I pulled up the last 6 game weeks data, looking at who seems to be on form. And Saka is streets ahead. Absolutely streets ahead. He has played 6 times in the last 6 game weeks. Now, that might sound obvious, but Luis Diaz has played 7, Foden's played 7, Ross Barkley's played 7. Teams that have had the double game week, basically, that we've just seen. And despite the fact Diaz and Foden have had 7 games, Saka is over 10 ahead, or 10, just shy of 10 ahead of Luis Diaz in the expected FPL point data. He is on the expected goals of 4.91, expected assists of 1.07. He is overperforming. He scored 7, but he is absolutely flying at the minute. I know a lot of people sold him. I mentioned before on when I was chatting here, if you have, bring him back if you can. If you sell Jota, you've got the money. Saka has to be the player to get. He is the one on the form, and they have some really nice fixtures coming up. Expected points as well over the next 6 of 36.5. Again, he might not play in 29, so bear that in mind. But yeah, 36.5 points expected, again, which is streets ahead of every other single player on this list. Diaz is there. Problem with Diaz, doesn't play in 26. And dare I say, not to jinx it, but he's probably not going to play into game week 29. For that not to happen, Liverpool need to beat Southampton in the FA Cup at Anfield, which again you'd probably expect them to do. So it seems like Diaz will probably blank 4 times in the next 2 times, sorry, in the next 4 game weeks. It's the same for Salah. It's the same for any of their players. So I know a lot of people are talking about when are you getting Salah back? When are you getting Salah back? I don't want a player that's going to blank twice in the next 4 game weeks. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And with his injury, he might not even start the other 2. So, and one of them's City. So the fixtures aren't there for the Liverpool players. So I'll probably stay away, despite the fact he does appear to be on some form. The fixtures just aren't there for Liverpool. And I know the top of the league, but you can't score points against nobody. So that's 2 of the game weeks gone. And it's very difficult to score points against Manchester City, which is one of the other 2. So unless he absolutely storms it against Nottingham Forest, Diaz and Salah, for that matter, for me, are probably wait until game week 30 sort of players. Foden's not a bad pick though if you haven't got Foden. Again, expected data 41.6, probably swayed by his hat trick, and they're actually the only 3 goals he scored in the last 7 games. He scored all 3 of them in one fixture. Does have 3 assists though within that time, slightly overperforming his data. But the City fixtures aren't too bad if you have a look at their ticker. Again, unlikely to play in game week 29. You'd imagine Man City will beat Luton in the FA Cup and put themselves through into the next round. But if you are looking at a City midfielder, they have over the next 6 Bournemouth away, Man United at home, Liverpool away, obviously not an easy fixture, Brighton away, Arsenal home, Villa at home. When I read them out loud, they don't sound that easy. But Bournemouth away, yeah, they'll probably score. Man United at home, they'll probably score. Brighton away, they'll probably score. You probably think that they'll score at Villa Park as well, but they do have Liverpool away and Arsenal. Even if it is at home, Arsenal are the best defence in the league, so maybe don't rush to it. My hero's Pascal Gross. He's on this list. It's very much changed. Matty Cash is gone. Pascal Gross is now my hero. He has been pulling in points left, right, and centre. He's had in the last 3 game weeks, he had an ace and could have very easily got a double last game week. And then he had a double digit the week before and a double digit the week before. And he's not been lucky to get them. He's actually underperforming his stats. So he should have had an expected points of 41.24 and he's only returned 37, so he's just underperforming those stats. It seems to suggest over the next 6 game weeks he will return 26.1. But check out these next 3 fixtures. If you're looking for a short-term midfielder with 3 really nice running fixtures, he's got home to Everton. Next, he's then away at Fulham. He's then at home to Nottingham Forest. I mean, they are phenomenal fixtures. After that, it turns. He's got City, then Liverpool, and Brentford away, then Arsenal. So you know it's a short term thing from a fixture point of view. But the guy is producing the form and has 3 absolutely outstanding fixtures. So he's somebody that I would very much consider looking at. And then Barkley, I've got to shout out as well. Ross Barkley is on the list. He's not been doing anything in the last couple of games, unfortunately, probably because I've picked him for Matt versus Dave. But he's got 2 goals, 2 assists in the last 6 or last 7 games for him. And again, he's 35.29 expected FPL points, and he's got 34 of them. The reason I think he is worth looking at, number one, he's only 5 million, so he's cheap. But Luton, although they may blank in 29, they definitely play twice in 28. And do you think Luton will probably take City out the FA Cup? Probably not. So there's a chance he also plays in 29. So I think he's worth considering if you want a cheap option. He's got a double game week coming up, and may also then give you an extra player for game week 29. I think it's worth looking at that. Um, I mentioned I'd probably bring in some, or hinted that I'd bring in some Wolves players. I think there's other midfield options that aren't on that list either because they've been injured and they've not played a lot of minutes. Um, I think Martinelli is on that list, isn't he? Ah, well, I'm giving you his data next to Odegaard, so you can see Martinelli's data twice. So either that or they're just haven't been performing but are worth your consideration, whether it be for fixtures, whether it be for expected points. So there's a couple of them that I put here. The 2 that I probably lean towards is the Wolves players. So I'll speak about them last because it's easier to rule the others out, right? So you've got Odegaard and Martinelli. Odegaard in the last couple of game weeks has been producing points. You know, I mentioned before he's got in the last 2 game weeks alone 4 attacking returns. Now, his issue for me is his expected goal data of 0.51 per 90 is solid. That's not a bad thing at all, but it's not Saka. You know, he's same with Martinelli. He's not Saka. Saka's data outscores them both. Um, so it's like there's better Arsenal options available. If you've got Saka and you want a second Arsenal player, I'd go Gabriel or a defender over either of them. If you have a defender and Saka and you want a third Arsenal player because they've got some nice upcoming fixtures, then I'd probably be more tempted with Odegaard. Reason is, I think Martinelli's more likely to be rotated now that Trossard is starting to score when Jesus might be back, or they decide to play in Nketiah. I think Martinelli's the one that probably gets subbed off or doesn't start or comes on off the bench. We've seen that happen. Whereas Odegaard's, he's the captain. He's the more assured starter. He's also got 12 attacking returns this season compared to Martinelli's 8. His expected goals per 90, expected goal involvement per 90 is higher than Martinelli's, as his expected points. But yeah, Saka's the one you want out of them all. So I'd probably steer you that way. As I say, defend a second. If you need a third, you want a third, you want to attack the game weeks, probably Odegaard. Bruno's on it. Shouldn't be. 8 attacker returns, which is outstanding that he's only got 8. 8 attacker returns despite having an expected per 90 goal involvement of 0.52. Clearly, he's just not, he's delivering service and people just aren't putting it in the net. I don't know what's happening. Um, he's not really got the attacker returns now that Hodgson started to score either. Seems to be coming from other sources. But yeah, he's potentially going to miss game week 29, as they all are on this list. So keep your eye out for the FA Cup. But Bruno is massively underperforming his stats. He's over 30 points under what he's expected to be at, which is insane. Will he come good? Potentially. He's only got 8 attack and returns so far this season, which for his standard of maybe not last season so much, but the season before and the season before is way behind. But yeah, he's a wait and see, isn't he? You're not gonna bring him in until you start seeing something from the guy. So I'd probably again hold out. The Wolves players are interesting. You look at the players on this list, they've got the best fixtures. Sheffield United at home, great fixture. Newcastle away, not so much, but they're conceding. Bournemouth have just gone there and scored twice as an example, so they have every chance of scoring there. They've then got Fulham at home, potentially Bournemouth at home if the FA Cup goes ahead, Villa away and Burnley away. These are nice fixtures. Um, Out of the two, Hwang has the better expected goal involvement per 90, and that's important because they're both classed as midfielders. Most of his data is expected goals. Most of Neto's data is expected assists. Now, as we all know, a midfielder getting a goal scores 2 points more than a midfielder getting an assist. You can see from actual goal involvement, Swang's on 10 goals, 3 assists. Neto's on 2 goals, 11 assists. So you can see it's much more Hwang getting into the goal scoring positions. As a result, he's more likely to get the points, as the expected points tell you. 27.2 to Hwang, 24.4 to Neto. Hwang's also cheaper. He's 5.5 million compared to Neto's 5.7. And he might be on pens. Kuna's injured, which means Hwang has every possibility of being a penalty taker. We saw it previously in the season when Kuna wasn't on the pitch. Hwang took the penalty. So looking across both, if you haven't got Saka, Saka's the one. Go for Saka based on form and fixtures. I'll then be following it up with Gross and Hwang. I think Hwang's more longer term. If you don't want to bring somebody in for 3 game weeks, you want to bring them in for the next sort of, 5, 6, 7 game weeks. I'd probably look at Hwang. Otherwise, for the next 3 short term, Gross is probably the. No, Hwang's is good over the next 3. Yeah, Hwang and Gross, and then an outside is Ross Barkley. There you go. That's for what it's worth. That's my thoughts. um, Onto your captain. So, a couple of options here. And I think people will probably look at it and go, well, it's clearly Haaland. I don't think it is. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to end up on Haaland as my captain this game week. The expected data says he's going to get 6.5 points. He's playing a Bournemouth team, but he's away at Bournemouth. Now, the reason I'm bringing that in is Haaland's expected goal involvement is phenomenal, right? Per 90, it's 1.12. He should get an attack and return based on that every single game. Bournemouth expected goals per 90 at home, like as in conceded, is 1.33. And that doesn't sound great. But when I compare it to Saka's opponents, Watkins' opponents, and Hwang's opponents, it's the best. So, give you an example. Saka, expected goal involvement for him is per 90 is 0.82. Again, phenomenal. Not far off 1 a game. Newcastle's expected goal per 90 away from home, because they're going to the Emirates, is 2.05. So they're much more likely to concede than Bournemouth are. Watkins, expected goal involvement for him is 0.64. He is playing Nottingham Forest at Villa Park. And Forest expected goal conceded per 90 away from home is 1.85. Again, not great. Not great reading for Forest. Worse again defensively than Bournemouth are in terms of Bournemouth being at home and then being away. And then Huang, expected per 90, only 0.5 behind the rest of them, but he now might well have the penalties, which will help boost that for him. But Sheffield United's expected goal conceded per 90 away from home is 2.08. I ran through that pretty quickly, but one of my basic saying there is, yeah, Haaland is the best striker of the four at the top of this list. He is the best striker, but he's playing against the best defense of the four. Saka is second best for expected points, but he's playing against the second worst defense of the four. If you want to take an outside points, Wang is a great if you're chasing, I think is a great option. He might have my captaincy, might well have my vice captaincy. And then Watkins is on form. Forest like to concede, they do, but he's not on pens, right? Whereas Haaland, Saka, and Huang probably will be on pens, or definitely Saka and Haaland will be. So what I'm saying here is it's not as obvious that it's going to be Haaland. I think other people are worth considering. I think Saka is potentially a better pick. That said, I might well end up on Haaland, as I say, but I think Saka is worth time looking at and considering. And again, as I say, if you wanna go against Sheffield United, who seem to be conceding goals for fun again, then Huang might be a nice outside pick if you're trying to chase. But do have a look at it. Do have a look at it. Don't just put it onto Haaland. This is probably one of those screens that I need math for. It's questions from Matt, but I'm going to change it to questions for Dave, mainly for the second one, because I think the second one is more aimed at me anyway. The others, I'll let Matt answer next week. Sorry, K7. I'm pretty sure you want Matt's opinion on when he'll build a wild card and how to avoid mistakes and how does he identify the best moves in any game week. Not mine. I'm not the former world number one. But Taxman put in a very interesting question, which was, what's more important to you, FPL or EPL results, and how do you find cheering on players from opposing teams? Now, the reason I think that's probably more aimed at me than Matt is Matt supports Bristol City, so his team aren't in the EPL, so he isn't really cheering on any opposing teams because Bristol Rovers also aren't in the EPL. So yeah, the Premier League doesn't really impact him in the way it does me as a Liverpool fan. Um, so yeah, I'm assuming you're sending that to me, taxman. So just to let you know, what's more important to me, FPL or English Premier League results? It is 100% Premier League results. I would much rather Liverpool win the Premier League than me win the FPL outright and finish number one in the world. 100%. I've grown up supporting Liverpool since as long as I can remember. Two older brothers and a dad, very into football. Grown up in Liverpool, it's like a religion. Um, so that would always be my first passion. But I also love FPL, hence why I do this. And started doing this with Matt. I've been playing it for 12 years. I absolutely love playing FPL. My friends get bored of me talking about it, no doubt. So I love both. But if you're asking me, would I rather my team have a good game week or Liverpool win? Liverpool win, no question about it. How do you find cheering on players from opposing teams? That's where FPL hurts me. So yeah, mid game week. Take Haaland as a perfect example of this. As a Liverpool fan, I want City to drop points every time they play. Mid game week, I had a triple captaincy on Haaland, and he was doing absolutely nothing. He was blanking. So in my head, I'm like, well, at least if City score and it's Haaland, it impacts my FPL team in a positive light. And that's how I think. And I don't like thinking that way because in reality, if Haaland scores, I should be like, oh, for God's sake. And I am, but I'm also like, oh, for God's sake. Oh well, at least he's my triple captain, so it kind of softens the impact, if you know what I mean. Um, so yeah, but what I'd say is I don't go into and watch turn on Man United versus Nottingham Forest, and I've got Rashford in my team, and I'm like, "Go on, Rashford!" Like, I want to see United lose that game, but if they win it and Rashford does something, then at least it's like, well, at least it's helped me in an FPL light. Um, I don't know if that answered your question, mate. I've definitely answered your first part. It's Premier League results all day, but I do love FPL, and I don't see it as cheering on opposing players. I see it as them softening the blow when the teams that we're competing with may score, and they're involved in those goals. There you go. That's the way I see it anyway. Um, no point in going through this one. I can a little bit. I can tell you scores. We both had horrendous weeks on Matt versus Dave. We both jumped in head first into double game week and both got punished throughout. Adebayo didn't play at all for Matt, so two injury games, 0 points and 0 points. Luckily for me, because it meant he only had one player. Robertson, who got two in the first game week, then got benched in the second game week, which was a real kick for Matt, but then came on and got an assist, as I say, from expected assist data of 0.00. So well done, Andy Robertson, if you're listening. How you achieve that? Thank Louis Diaz. So Matt got 6 points in total, and then yeah, I got the same. So Ross Barkley played both games, got 2 points in his first game, then got a booking against Liverpool, so we only got one. You should have bet on that, right, everybody? Everybody should have been betting on Ross Barkley to get booked against Liverpool. Being an ex-Everton player and a Blue, he was always going to get booked in that game, right? I'd like to see what the odds were. And then Doku started in one game, didn't start in the other, came off the bench, 2-1 as well as City only scored twice in the game week. So 6 points each, put us both on 10. I put game week 26 picks. Unfortunately, we are not going to have the chance to do it this game week. So when we come back next week, and me and Matt chat, we'll discuss this result, I guess, and then look at our game week 27 picks. But we are still neck and neck at 10 each. Okay, game week 26 thoughts and plans. Got my team up to run through very quickly. Areola at home to Brentford. I've then got a double Arsenal defence at home to Newcastle with Gabriel and Saliba. Walker against Bournemouth away. Charlie Taylor coming back into the starting 11. He seems to be back in and playing. Came off the bench in the last game. Hopefully he's fit for this one, but he's away at Palace. I've then got my hero Gross at home to Everton, Saka at home to Newcastle, Foden away at Bournemouth, and then up top at the minute, my captaincy's on Haaland. That could very easily change, but he's away at Bournemouth, and then Watkins at home to Forest. I then have a blank on the pitch. Darwin Núñez is currently in that blank, and all three members of my bench, Palmer, Robertson, and Richarlison, are also blanking. Now, the good news for me is I have two free transfers, 2.2 million in the bank. And I might well focus on a player that is due to play in game week 26 and 29. The likelihood of that would mean I'd probably have to sell a Palmer. I can't sell a player that's already playing this game week. That'd just be death, right? So I need to sell a blank. If I'm going to be bringing in a player in game week 26 and 29, I could sell Robertson and bring in a Villa defender. Don't fancy it. They seem to be conceding. There's no team that is guaranteed to play in 29 and play this game week that I really like the defense of. So I'd be pushing more to the attackers. Darwin will go to Solanke. So I'm ruling him out. I can't sell him because I either sell him for Solanke this week, but he's playing City, so I don't really fancy that. Or a bench him. So he's going to be one of my benched options, which kind of leaves me with two options. It's Richarlison or Palmer. They're going to be the midfielders that I have to sell, and it's a midfielder that I'm going to have to bring in. Richarlison will play in 29. That is guaranteed. Palmer, on the other hand, not guaranteed unless they go out the FA Cup. But they've got a lower league opposition, so I'd expect them to win. So as a result, as much as it pains me, Palmer might have to be the one to go. But again, he blanks twice in the next 4 game weeks. So that's not great. The other fixtures, oh well, potentially blanks, should I say, twice in the next 4 game weeks. And then he's away at Brentford and he's at home to Newcastle. So the fixtures aren't great either. So it doesn't feel great, but I think he might have to be the one that makes space. And if I just use the one transfer, that'll probably be the move I make. It'll be him. Well, I have to use at least one. I'm not going to burn one. So it'll be Palmer out, and it'll either be Douglas Luiz in, which doesn't feel very exciting to me. Might get some penalties, but I just I don't know, something about Douglas Luiz. I feel like he's not as a creative outlet. I might regret saying that, and he ends up getting a penalty and scoring, or does what he did against was it Man United where he scored from a corner basically, but doesn't feel great. But he does play in 29, so it might be the way that go. The one that's exciting for me is Hwang. I think Hwang has really nice fixtures coming up. I can target the Sheffield United game. He may play in 29. Again, we'll see when cup results come in. Chances are he probably won't, but it's more attacking. The downside to that move is I'm bringing in a player that probably won't play in 29. And when I look at other considerations and what I've noted there, I've currently only got 4 players guaranteed to play game week 29. And if the bookies' favourites all win, I will only be starting with 4, uh, with 5 transfers. Double this, transfer in 27, 28, and 29. So in theory, I can only get to 9 players without taking hits. And that doesn't involve me bringing in Solanke, which I'm definitely going to do in 28. And I'll probably want to bring in a Neto or somebody like that in 28 as well. So I'm going like I'm dropping and dropping to maybe 7 players in game week 29. Um, and if I do Huang, it's down to 6. So I'm kind of left in 2 positions, I think. And the route I'll probably take, I'm probably going to sell Palmer for Huang. And the reason is these chip. I don't want to lose so many points ahead of game week 29, just focusing on 29 because I think there's points to be made in 26, 27, 28. And concentrating on 29 and lose me ground, right? It then means I'm probably going to play a chip ahead of 29 or in 29. Otherwise, I'm getting like 6 players out, which is just daft. So I'm either going with free hit 29, build a team up until then, play my free hits when they all blank, and then come out of 30 and with my team intact. So that's a potential. The other move is I will wait and see what happens in the cups, and this will very much determine what I do. If there's a couple of upsets in the cups, I might be able to get away with playing the free hit because if Arsenal are going to play, well, there's 3 players straight back in the side. So we'll wait and see what happens with the cup. But there's an argument, and I'll have to look into it properly. But there's an argument to say I play my wild card in game week 28. Again, depending on cup results, so I can field an 11 and 29. I can get more players in for that double game week in 28, mainly focusing on the Bournemouth game. And then I can save my free hit for a 34 when there's a big double, or a 37 with a big double, and play the bench boost on the other game week. Um, so there's lots to think about, lots of things I'm looking at. I think the first one's probably going to be likely with the FA Cup results going the way the bookies probably expect it, and I'll be forced to play my free hit in 29. I think that's the way it'll probably end up going. So that means I'm going to be selling Palmer and bringing in Hwang this game week, which I'm excited. I'm quite excited for that. The second transfer I might also use. I'm not convinced Walker's going to play. If I'm honest, I think he's played 2 in a row. He's been getting dropped, so I might well lose him as well and give myself a bench option. Rather than selling Walker, I'd sell Robertson. Again, blanks in 29. Probably going to blank in 29. He's got Man City in 28. I don't need Robertson there. He's a lot of money, so I'll probably downgrade him for somebody that. And in that sense, I'll probably pick somebody that is guaranteed to play in 29, just in case the cup results go the way I want them to, like a Villa defender, um, who's at home to Forest this game week, or away at Forest, should I say, this game week. So wouldn't mind playing them coming off the bench if they needed to. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Gives me flexibility. Um, people I bought in 3 Liverpool players have a Chelsea man, have a Tottenham man. Probably going to struggle to get an 11 out. I can do it fairly comfortably and even give myself a bench option. So yeah, not a bad place to be. Um, Madsen sent me his team, so he already has 11 out without doing any transfers. He's got 11 out already because he sold Palmer last week for De Bruyne, which has got him there. Again, a lot of home games, which is great. The ones that he probably isn't too keen on, Gordon away at Arsenal, away to the best events in the league. I think if he had another option, he wouldn't be playing Gordon, but he might also roll into game week GW27 to give himself some more options ahead of a double game week 28 and blank game week 29. He's actually mentioned also getting Hwang in, selling Gordon for him, or just going a week early, selling Darwin. Excuse me again. Selling Darwin, bringing in Solanke. I'm going to blame the Fanta for the flatulence twice there. Or just do the Darwin to Solanke early, and that might be his other move. So, um, yeah, things to consider for him. So as I say, a roll, Gordon to Wang, or Darwin to Solanke. And that is it. That is it. Bit longer than I mentioned. I can talk for Britain. I'm a Scouser. It's what we do. But yeah, Matt will hopefully be back with us next week. Hopefully you took some insight from what I say, what I was talking about there as well. And I appreciate your time and for joining me. I'll go away and have some more Fanta just to stop my dry mouth. But yeah, hopefully, well, I wish you the best with the game week ahead. As I say, hopefully you found this of use. But Matt will be back next week as well, and we'll chat to him, throw those questions back at him. I'll get some more questions in. I might throw Taxman's at him as well, just to see what he thinks of it. But as I say, he's not got an FPL team, so sorry, he's not got an English Premier League team, so it kind of affects him in a slightly different light. But it'd be nice to see all the same. Um, but yeah, I'm waffling now. So enjoy your evening, whatever you're doing. Enjoy the weekend. All the best with your teams and your planning. I wish you the best of luck. Remember, get Saka if you haven't got him. Get Watkins if you haven't got him. Gross is an absolute legend. And I will see you on the other side.